If there's one standout game-changing feature of Photoshop, it's layers. And the layers panel is a place where you're going to spend a lot of your time. Now, if it's not open for you, just make sure you go up to the window menu and select layers or use the keyboard command F7. Now, the general concept behind layers is that each layer acts like a sheet of glass. Each layer can have parts of your image on it. You can show and hide layers by clicking on the eye icon to turn off particular layers, or click it again to show the layer again. If you'd like to solo a layer, hold down the Option or Alt key on your keyboard and click on the eye icon, and it'll turn off all of the other layers. I'll turn all those back on by again holding down Option or Alt and clicking on the eye. You select a layer to work on by clicking on it, and it'll shift colors to let you know that this is the active layer. You can change the order of layers by dragging the layer to a new position in the stack. If you grab a tool such as the paintbrush tool, and then dial in your size by right-clicking on your canvas, I'll dial in a size of my brush of about 60 pixels with a hardness of 0. Then I'll dial in a color with a hue of 120 degrees. I'll tab down and set the saturation and brightness both to 100%, and that'll give me this nice bright green color. Now when you begin to paint, you're only affecting the pixels on that one currently selected layer. Now this looks pretty awful, but you can change how the pixels on a layer interact with the layers below it by adjusting the layer's opacity here using this slider. I'll drag the opacity of this layer down to about 35%. And now we can see the details of the eye coming through again. Now that looks better, but it still looks a bit crude. So let's blend this color into the layers below it by changing the layer's blend mode using this drop-down menu here. Now, as with most things in Photoshop, menus such as blend modes are all grouped into logical arrangements and separated by thin horizontal bars. Now, these blend modes are all closely related to each other, and they vary mostly by intensity of the effect, and these blend modes are all closely related to each other, and so forth. We'll explore blend modes a bit more in later movies. For now, scroll down near the very bottom and select Color. Photoshop can also have text layers that contain editable text. Double-clicking on the T icon for a text layer will let you edit the text. I'll make a slight change to this text, and then click the checkbox in the Options bar or press the Escape key to commit the change. Now at the bottom of the Layers panel are some other common tools that will affect the currently selected layer, such as adding layer effects, masks, and adjustment layers. You can interact with these options by either clicking on an option and then selecting the effect that you want from the menu, clicking on a button such as adding a new layer, or selecting one or more layers. I'll do that by holding down the Shift key on my keyboard as I click on the second layer, and then dragging those two layers onto an icon such as the folder icon to create a new group that contains both of those layers. To further keep yourself organized, it's a good idea to name your layers by double-clicking on the name of a layer and then entering a new name that makes more sense to you than Layer 1. Then hit Enter or Return to commit the change. Now there's a lot more to layers, but this should give you the basic foundation that you need for the rest of this course.